Welcome back to Wrestler Weekly Presents 1981, the bonus episode. And how did you receive this bonus episode? Because you decided to subscribe to WrestlerWeekly.com, which I do thank you. And I send out my personal appreciation for you following us and being a fan of Wrestler Weekly. It's because of you, the reason that I'm here every week, and I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too. This was the MAG, May 1981, Ricky Steamboat. And the setup here is this is a very sentimental MAG. I grew up was born in Southwest Virginia and lived there, born in 1972, so you can do the math. By the way, got a birthday coming up next month. Just saying, that's it. But I grew up in the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling territory, and so Ricky Steamboat, one of my favorites, and my brother Reggie, and that belt signifying the Mid-Atlantic champion. And so Ricky Steamboat, but a new look Ricky Steamboat with the stash. And I did talk about it in the episode that I'm going to call Reggie, my brother. I'm going to get him on the line, put him on speaker, and I'm going to let him tell why this MAG was his favorite as a kid. So without further ado, let's give him a call. He is in Jacksonville, Florida right now. And let's see if we can get him on the line here. You can hear that. Need the Jeopardy music. Dun, 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 dun.
Hello?
Reggie.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy? I am on the air. We are filming the bonus episode of Wrestler Weekly Presents, episode 6, 1981, May of 81, the PWI Ricky Steamboat. This was before the dragon gimmick, but this was the mustache gimmick with the Mid-Atlantic belt. And I want you to tell our subscribers of Wrestler Weekly that are receiving this bonus episode, just kind of give us your take, the hot take on this being a very sentimental MAG in your upbringing.
All right, let's do this. Just to set the stage for your viewers, is you have to first start with the era of the mustache. You had Burt Reynolds 4 years in a row, #1 box office draw, late 70s.
Yeah.
Had the perfect mustache. Then you had Keith Hernandez, 1979 MVP of the National League for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Gorgeous mustache.
Oh,
later
yeah.
Seinfeld fame.
Oh, yeah.
New York Mets. Don't want to leave that out. And then you had 1980 December, Tom Selleck began his mustache run on Magnum PI.
Yeah, that is true.
So then enter in Ricky Steamboat, pre-Dragon, with the most perfect, Selleck-esque, Reynolds-esque, Hernandez-esque, dark brown mustache in the Mid-Atlantic area.
Oh, yeah.
There for a while, he was the, tag champs. He wrote a great article, him and Jay Youngblood.
Yeah.
And, people can check that out if they haven't already.
Yeah, and they can check that out at, let's give Big Marvelous Mike a plug, 720wrestling.com, 720wrestling.com, and they can check out that article.
So you had the run of Steamboat with the U.S. title, which you touched on in other videos.
Right.
And then you had the run with him and Jay Youngblood as tag champs. And then enter in the run, I believe it was after Steamboat went on a tour of Japan, he comes back with this glorious mustache.
Yeah.
So this MAG, to me, is my favorite MAG, and I'll tell you why. In 1981 is when this thing came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it may have came out a come out a little bit later than what the actual date is on it,
Right.
or a little earlier.
Or a little earlier,
You know,
yeah.
a little earlier. But anyway, we had moved out of the Mid-Atlantic area down to Florida,
Yeah.
and I first came across this magazine because I was longing for the Mid-Atlantic days. You know, Florida Championship Wrestling was great with Dusty and Kevin Sullivan and Billy Jack Haynes, but it was not Mid-Atlantic Wrestling with Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Ivan Koloff. So anyway, I'm looking at the PWI. So go ahead.
Blackjack Mulligan.
Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, the list: Greg the Hammer, Valentine, Roddy Piper, Sergeant Slaughter. The list is endless. But in this early 80s, Ricky Steamboat had a run with the Mid-Atlantic title, which to me was my favorite belt.
Right.
It's no gold on the title. It's kind of a plain Jane type of thing. It's one of these things where there's nothing real flashy about it. Looks like something you could make in a garage. But it was just the fact of who wore it and what it stood for. You know, some of the greats: Paul Jones, Greg Valentine, Ric Flair, Ken Patera, Tony Atlas. The list is endless of guys that held this belt. So I was a PWI guy, but I was looking in, like we used to do, looking at magazines, and I did not own the magazine. I saw it in there where you could order it.
Right.
It was one of the ones you could order because it was a back cover, as we just later discovered. You could order those, or you could buy those magazines because the back cover that has Steamboat, Wyndham, DiBiase, Tommy Rich, Bob Backlund, different guys. Those were all magazines you could order. So that was one of them. So when I found that you could order that, I tried relentlessly to write in. You used to be able to mail in and try to buy that mag. Well, I tried 3 different times to buy that mag from Victory Sports, and every time I would get a letter back saying it's sold out. And knowing it was sold out, I still kept trying to get it because pre-eBay, that's the only way you could do it.
No doubt.
So later in life, when eBay came around, I don't remember the exact time I got the magazine, but I do remember getting it signed when we went to the first, our first, not the first, but our first wrestling fan fest in Charlotte.
Right.
I want to say 2014, somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And was able to get Ricky Steamboat to sign that mag. And there is not a day goes by because I have it in a frame in my den, and every time I walk by it, I go, it takes my breath. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I have that magazine.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's my story with the mag, and I was on. I talked about in the previous in the Wrestler Weekly Presents episode 6 where I was on Simon's podcast, on the New Era podcast, and I talked about the story because on this mag that I have signed by Steamboat, it's got Brent Hardison signed it as well.
Oh, wow.
And, Brent, here's one of those things, we're going to go back, and this is in my book, Family Bacon Wrestling, but I was living in Hickory, and this was before eBay, and so this was before, people were buying and selling online. There really wasn't much online happening. If you had a web, you weren't using it for that. But I was living in Hickory. I went to a gas station to pick up something, and as I'm checking out, they had this trade paper, and it said buy, sell, trade. So I grabbed it. It was free. Picked it up. Took it home. Was flipping through, and it was like classifieds where people would buy and sell. So I posted an ad looking for old wrestling magazines, and I was looking for between 1976 or 77 till about 1984, 85. And, a couple of weeks went by, I didn't think anything about it. And I get a call from Brent Hardison, who was living near the coast of North Carolina, so near Wilmington area, and really in the middle of nowhere. So our aunt and uncle at the time, Brad and Sharon, were living in Raleigh. And so I did a deal where I drove to Raleigh, dropped off my luggage for the weekend, and then kept on driving to the coast. And I end up, and there's just no cell phones. This is back in the mid 90s, early 90s. So, I'm driving, no cell phone. By the time I find this place, it was a trailer park in the middle of nowhere at 10 o'clock at night, almost, may have been 10:30 for all I know. But I remember I found it. There was this town was a no red light town, middle of nowhere. And I pull up in this trailer park. The guy answers the door, and it could have been anybody. I mean, this was pre-Craigslist killer. I mean, this could have been anybody. So, I get through there, and so the guy says, "Hey, I got him in the back." So I go in this guy's trailer, walk down this hallway. I could have been walking to my death.
Now, he didn't happen to have Danzig playing on a record player like in the movie 8mm.
He could have. For all I know, I was just there to pick up some mags. So I find these Wrestle mags, and I'm walking down thinking, well, I'm either going to die or I'm going to find the biggest haul of wrestling mags anyone's ever had in their life. So luckily, it was the latter. I walk in this room, and I look down, and he says they're down there, and it's like boxes of mags. But on top was this mag with the Steamboat mustache, and that mustache was like my saving grace. But you know what's funny, and my producer's telling me I've got 3 minutes left, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. But you got to understand this. I was so intoxicated with wrestling magazines that literally the guy had them for $75 for, hundreds of mags. And what do? Now, Reggie, because we're brothers. So what do? I pulled a Frank off of American Pickers, and I said, "Would you take 50?" And so, I walked out of there with like 3 giant boxes of magazines at like 11 o'clock at night, and driving back to Raleigh with the biggest haul of mags. And then, but this was on top. This was the mag. And, just lucky to have it, privileged to have Ricky Steamboat sign this mag alongside Bret Hardison, I might add. But any last words? We got about a minute and a half. Reggie, you got anything else to?
Yeah, I would just say that the title of this bonus episode is probably "The Comfort of the Mustache," because that.
Yeah.
And people should know real quick that our dad also had the biggest mustache of the era, so maybe that's tie it full circle.
You know what I should do? I should post a picture. I should post a picture of Ricky's this mag alongside our dad with that thick mustache. If you remember the picture where he's got the sunglasses about circa 1985, 86. Yeah, we got to find that one for these guys. We can post that on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You'll love it. I mean, these two side by side. And I'm going to shout out to the New Era podcast because Simon loved this story. So Simon, if you're watching, shout out to the New Era podcast and you guys out there as well. If nothing else, Reggie, I think that we can sign off for this week's bonus episode to our subscribers at WrestlerWeekly.com. Also, there's VIP information up there that at the moment, as I'm starting to give away some memorabilia. So sign up for that. And as our good buddy Freddie Miller always said in Georgia, don't miss it. Be there.